All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about a really powerful idea today. What if the skills of an American Sign Language professional could have this huge, massive impact way beyond the usual interpreting work? We're going to dig into how that expertise can be used to tackle a communication crisis that, honestly, most of us don't even see.
So get this, right now there are about 10,000 certified ASL interpreters in the US. I mean, that's a whole community of incredibly skilled pros, all dedicated to bridging communication gaps. So if you're one of them or even just someone who's really passionate about ASL, listen up, because this one's definitely for you.
Now, don't get me wrong, the traditional role of an interpreter is absolutely vital. We all know that. But this question is really a challenge to think bigger, right? Like, could your skills serve an even broader purpose? Is there a way to innovate, to go beyond that one-on-one session and create a much, much wider impact?
Okay, so let's start with what we all know, the world of ASL interpreting. It's a demanding job, no doubt, and totally essential for access and inclusion. And the reasons people get into this field in the first place, they're really powerful.
I mean, at its core, this is a profession that's just driven by purpose. People are drawn to this work because they want to help. They want to be that crucial bridge between different languages, different cultures. And the job itself, it's so dynamic. No 2 days are ever the same. The whole foundation is built on this idea of connection.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. Beyond that established role, there's this huge, and I mean largely unseen, communication gap that's growing in our communities. And that gap, well, it's also a whole new opportunity for making a real impact. Look, our world is changing, and it's changing fast. We've got an aging population, we have a much better understanding of cognitive needs, and because of that, the demand for visual communication strategies, the very bedrock of ASL, is just exploding. And it's happening in places you would probably never expect.
So who exactly is being left behind here? Well, we're talking about aging adults who are starting to face communication decline. We're talking about people with late-onset hearing loss, nonverbal individuals, maybe due to autism or medical trauma. And, this is a big one, their families and caregivers who are just desperately looking for ways to connect. These are all communities where the core principles of ASL could be an absolute game changer.
So to meet this hidden need, it takes a really pivotal idea, a total reframing of what an interpreter can be. It's about shifting from just, facilitating a conversation to actively building connections. So let's break down what that actually looks like.
Okay, so here it is, the new role, a communication connector. So what is that? It's about taking all those core ASL skills and using them proactively to educate and empower entire groups of people. The whole idea is to shift from a one-to-one service to creating this many-to-many impact. You're not just interpreting for someone, you're building a whole community's ability to communicate.
And this slide really lays out the big shift in perspective. Instead of just being a translator, you become an educator and an empower. Instead of providing one-to-one access, you're creating a many-to-many impact. It's not just about bridging words anymore, it's about bridging worlds. You're going from facilitating a single conversation to building up the capacity of an entire community. It's a huge change in thinking.
All right, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds great in theory, but what does it actually look like in the real world? How do you make this potential real? Well, let's dive into a really powerful case study that shows exactly that.
So the how here is really key. It's all grounded in the power of visual-based learning. When you combine ASL with things like images, gesture, rhythm, repetition, it becomes incredibly effective. Why? Because you're creating this multi-sensory way of connecting, and that is just so critical for the people we're talking about.
And here's the proof in the pudding. Check this out. A senior facility in Southern California decided to pilot a weekly ASL music class. And who were the participants? They were residents with mild cognitive decline, some with late-onset hearing loss. I mean, this is exactly the group we've been discussing.
And get this, after only 8 weeks, the results were just remarkable. The staff started reporting that residents were interacting more with each other. Frustration levels for both the residents and the staff actually went down. And participation in other group activities, it shot way up. This isn't just a nice story, this is a tangible, life-changing impact.
So when you see results like that, the next logical question is, how can you do this? Why should you, as a professional, even consider expanding your role? Well, this is basically a call to innovate. And trust me, the reasons are pretty compelling.
I mean, think about it. The reasons to jump on this are so strong. First off, you'd be meeting a huge growing need in society,
and you'd be doing it with the skills you already have. Plus, this opens up whole new ways to make a living. Think new income streams from consulting or creating materials. But honestly, the most important part, you go from being a bridge for one person to being a bridge for an entire community. That's the kind of impact that helps literally everyone involved.
Okay, so how do I even start, might be your next question. Well, here are 4 really practical ways to get going. You could host your own mini courses, either in person or online. You could create downloadable things like starter kits or flashcard decks. You could offer consulting to places like schools, hospitals, senior centers. Or you could team up with organizations to run grant-funded community workshops. These are all real, totally doable starting points.
So really, this is an invitation to think way outside the box, beyond the traditional definitions of your role. Let's just take a second here and really imagine what's possible.
Let's just leave it with this final big question. Just imagine for a second, what if ASL was the norm in every single senior center, in every memory care unit? Can you picture the potential for connection, for dignity, for just pure joy? It's immense. And you know what? ASL professionals, you guys are the key to unlocking all of it.